MRI reveals a moderate strain of Royce Lewis's left hamstring, but the disappointment he's feeling about it runs a little deeper than moderate. How's he doing? What will the Twins do without him? Find out by getting Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Locked On Twins, your daily go-to source for the top Minnesota Twins insight, discourse, and analysis. Personally, it's my favorite show of the Imperial Locked On Podcast Network, which, by the way, brings you your team every day. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe where applicable. I'm Dave Brown, an MLB writer since, well, even before Royce Lewis's troubled legs were a gleam in his parents' eyes. I'm also a BBWA member and a Hall of Fame voter. Across the great plains of cyberspace is Brandon Warren, who's legged out a grounder or two playing ball. Brandon was a Twins fan who became a Twins writer, and now he's both as a site expert at Puckett's Pond, a blog about the Twins. Go read Puckett's Pond today. On the podcast today, Royce Lewis MRI results and reaction. Not as bad as it could have been. Not as bad as his quad a year ago. Still bad enough for him to miss multiple weeks. We will check in with Rocco to see who's on third. Today it was Brooks Lee. Tomorrow it probably will be somebody else. Maybe it'll be you. Joe Ryan not throwing as hard as he can today, but he has an explanation for that I don't really understand completely, but I'm sure it's fine. I mean, why suspect anything untoward with this team? Speaking of which, Justin Topa, who we're pretty sure is real and not made up. Nice conjuring, Falvey, has pitched for the first time in 12 days, and he gave up a home run. But it's okay. Before we detail this automobile, you need to know that this episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. So the pre-show is over. We're jumping into the show. It's me and Brandon. And Royce Lewis, we have MRI results. And we have Royce Lewis talking about those results and how he feels. And it's not terrible news, but it's, it's one of those, it is what it is. The results reveal a moderate strain of his left hamstring. And he keeps, he's trying to keep positive, but it's difficult because he's put a lot of time, effort, and money. He keeps repeating that part. He puts a lot of money into training hard and training right, and he's not getting results. What was your take on the results that we got today from Royce?
Yeah, it's less about the injury itself and more about the cumulative effect of like why these keep happening and what can be changed to remedy that. And I mean, obviously, if I had the answers, I'd be making more money doing something in that field than I am right now here. But ultimately, yeah, again, like I said, it's more troubling, like why these keep happening and not necessarily on one side or the other. What is missing here? What are we missing? What are they missing? What is he missing? As far as, is he not, training a certain group properly? I would imagine that none of that can be the case. These guys are working at the forefront of sports science with everything we could possibly know as humans at this point. So honestly, it's more of just kind of shrug your shoulders and just say, well, here we go again.
But don't shrug them too hard because then you'll strain something. Here's the real, there's a couple interesting parts about what I believe it was Phil Miller wrote, today this afternoon in the Star Tribune. This was the most interesting part. Lewis, though, had phone calls to make to his wife, to his parents, to his agent to deliver the prognosis. Everyone hates this, and that goes for you too, Twins fans. No one wants this for anybody. But when you think of somebody 25 years old doing everything they possibly can, Lewis said, shaking his head, his family see it from behind the scenes, all the stuff I'm doing, investing in my body, a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of energy going towards staying healthy. And unfortunately, it hasn't been going my way yet, but it'll come. So, from Royce's, I don't know if he's trying to get out front of possible criticism of like what he's doing to stay healthy, but that certainly addresses it. That he said that before too, that part about it's expensive to train the right way. And I mean, I guess it's just bad luck. I mean, that's the only thing that I can think of. I do see another part of this too that I don't know fans always appreciate, because their first thought is, how's this going to affect the standings?
Right.
And maybe the person comes second. In the clubhouse after Monday's game, several of his teammates sensed his anguish over being seriously hurt again, merely by running. Royce says, definitely not the best emotions. I was frustrated, bummed out. I just want a chance. Anyone in this room would say the same thing. They just want an opportunity, said Lewis, who has been limited to 152 games total since making his major league debut in 2022. To have that opportunity taken away not because of how you're playing, but because of this, hard. It'd be another thing if I was struggling my way out of the lineup, but it's another just to not be able to put myself in. So, I think Lewis is a guy who is it's a little divisive how people see him. Fans see a positive guy. He's like, darn glad to meet you. He signs kids' autographs and then gets an autograph in exchange. He always kind of puts on that face of being happy. I think a lot of people don't care, because it is first the results in the field that we care about. We don't care about interpersonal relationships as much. I tend to fall on the side of, it's good that he puts energy into trying to make people happy and being, hi, I'm happy to meet you kind of a guy. And I think that's good. I don't think necessarily that is trying to hide anything else or a dark side or anything like that. So it does make me sad or whatever that Royce can't get out there and play. And I don't, I lay it off to bad luck. I do. I think we would hear sinister things coming from sources or the Twins or somewhere that, he doesn't put in the work, or, this is, you hear things through the years about other ball players, some famous ones, relying on their natural born athleticism and not working hard. I don't necessarily hear that with Royce. The criticisms of him don't necessarily include that until you get to the point where he has these injuries and we don't know why they keep happening. But sometimes injuries just keep happening.
Corey made a good point on the broadcast. And by the way, in the game played on Monday, they were in Bradenton, and the strikeout sound was the Price is Right horn, the boom, 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 like we have on, like we mess with each other.
You can play that.
I don't know if I can.
Because of
copyright? I don't know.
Legal? Oh.
I don't know. I don't want to get into trouble, but it just sounds boom, 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 boom. Anyway.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, not bad. As for the game Lewis got hurt, Corey made a really good point and said, could you pan the camera back or go back to the footage of him pulling up, lame? And the further he goes down the line, you see a player in the Red Sox dugout go like hands up and like turn away from the play. And he said, that's just it. Like, teams obviously realize that the Twins are going to be not as good of a team with Royce Lewis sidelined, but players want to see other players succeed. And so to see, I think it was Vaughn Grissom, so, battling for a spot on the Red Sox himself, he's got a lot on his plate, and he's still, he's watching the game and sees, some other dude get hurt, and he obviously felt pretty bad about it. That to me was something that, Corey, I think it was Corey, I don't think it was Morney, picking that out was impressive. I was really impressed by that.
There's a lot of empathy going around Major League Baseball as far as that kind of thing when someone gets hurt. It's because the players all know, they intimately understand how hard they work to stay in the game in the first place. And, it isn't just a matter of, falling out of bed and being born with the talent to hit a baseball. There is a lot more that goes into it. And, but for the grace of God, go I. There's a little bit of that too. It's like, I don't want any bad juju or karma coming back on me because I wasn't thoughtful about someone else's injury. I mean, the players
Just a
know.
decent human. Be a decent human.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And that's where it starts. Speaking of being decent humans, we're going to do the decent thing and take our first break. How's that? Oh, I hope it was good. Yay.
Well, speaking of break into some pistachios. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts you'll find out there. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily expected value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. Boy, that's a tongue twister. I personally am a big fan of the ones that are still in the shell. We have a bag of those on our bedside table. Actually, I gotta order some more Wonderful Pistachios. So
yes, you do.
It's a good reminder for me. But they do have the versions that are already out of the shell, just as good, just a little bit quicker of a pistachio delivery service. So your mileage may vary, but I prefer the shell. So get snackin' and get crackin' with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. And we also have to give some love to Monarch Money, one of our newest sponsors. If you've ever checked your bank account and wondered, well, where did all my money go? And boy, let me tell you, I've been there. Between dining, eating, dining out, online shopping, entertainment, it's easy to lose track, and that's where Monarch Money comes into play. It's your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. It's not just a budgeting app. Monarch Money, easy for me to say, is a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place so you stop managing your money and start building wealth. I love the insights. The value of my house, which recently actually went up. So that was pretty exciting. But I can see, my assets and my liabilities, where I'm at with some of my investments through work and all that sort of stuff. It's really special, and I can't recommend enough. I highly recommend you check it out. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com, and you'll get 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB, and you'll get half off your first year.
Locked On Twins roaring back with what the Twins are going to do with Royce Lewis on the shelf for a matter of weeks. He says it's not as bad of an injury in terms of the pain that he felt last year with the quad. So it isn't the same thing. The quad is different muscle group than the hamstring. And, but it's going to be, Rocco has put it in terms of weeks. It's going to be at least a couple, probably 4, perhaps 6. So, and last year the quad was about 8 weeks, about 2 months. So they're going to need someone to play third. Today it was Brooks Lee. Brooks Lee's been playing a lot of second base, but he has experience at third with the Twins. So does Jose Miranda. He was playing first base today. But there's also Ty France. So there's lots of pieces for Rocco to move around. And what did he say? Today, he said, well, we've got 8 games left. And we're going to have a little bit of movement in our lineups as a whole. So today we had Brooks over there. I'm pretty sure almost every day we're going to have some movement there. Get them some work in different places. So sometimes it'll be Brooks Lee. Sometimes it'll be Miranda. Sometimes it'll be Willi Castro. Am I missing anyone?
I don't think so.
But that also means, well, if Brooks Lee's playing third, who's playing second? I think that this helps the idea of Edouard Julien making the team. I wasn't sure, before Royce got hurt, I wasn't sure if Julien would have enough at-bats available in the majors to make it the ideal thing for him to continue building up from his basically slump year of his sophomore season. But I think the way he's going, and he is, when he hits the ball, when he makes contact, he's exit velocity is about 92, which is good for an average, but very good. But it is also, he's got a hard hit rate, which is anything 95 and above. It's less than 40%. And that's not, it's not terrible, but it's not great. So he's still working out the kinks. He's got pretty good results. he's getting on base. He's still striking out, or is it whiff rate or strikeout? I don't know, 31%. So that's not unmanageable, but it's probably higher than would be ideal. So, but anyway, long story short, Lee going over to third sometimes might leave some space for Julien, but there's also the matter of Mickey Gasper, who I guess his top position is second base. Maybe it's first, but so I don't know if Gasper and Julien making the team at the same time makes sense, but I think that's basically what we're down to here. I think there are enough guys to play third. They have people of varying skill levels over there, but really the Lewis situation is just kind of defining how they finish the roster off at this point.
Yeah, and you mentioned someone saying the idea that they didn't have enough third base depth. I don't think that's necessarily true. And I'm looking at roster resource, just kind of how they have everything laid out. They have Brooks Lee at third, Willi Castro at second. I mean, I don't know that I would put Castro at second as like, I think he's going to play there more often than anywhere else. I legitimately don't know. And if they want to get a look at Mickey Gasper early, that to me makes sense. That is an option. And if that's the case, maybe that knocks Austin Martin off the roster. I don't know who gets that last spot. It's almost like, and tell me if you disagree, 2 spots for 3 guys, Julien, Martin, Gasper. That's probably accurate, right?
I think so. Yeah, because the pitching situation, they're going to keep 8 pitchers. We know that. They can't keep 9.
Right.
And they're not going to keep less because
right.
that's just not the way things are
Anybody
done, or
does
that's
it.
not the way they do things.
Right.
So it's down to those position players, I would say. Especially, I don't think, both starting catchers are healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to have Gasper available as one of those guys, as a third catcher. That's certainly in his favor. It's not absolutely essential at this point in the season. So I'm just trying to think like Rocco would, and who do you want in the 9th inning as your defensive alignment? You'd probably prefer Castro at third and Lee at second, or maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either, because do you want Miranda at first, or do you want France at first? France, for all the hubbub about his defense, has he's been decent. He's been terrible. He had the health issue that the heel that we thought maybe played into that a little bit. I don't know that you can really make a consensus at this point. I mean, is there a case to be made that Austin Martin is in that mix? Harrison Bader obviously will probably come in late in left field for Trevor Larnach on the nights that Larnach starts, and especially it'll help if there's left-handed relievers late in games too. But I'm thinking, let's see, your best outfield alignment is probably Bader, Buxton, Wallner, because I just don't know how I feel about Austin Martin and Wright. Is that a weird thing to say?
No, that's not.
I think he's maybe more speedy. I don't think I would say he's better out there, but a lot of it just comes down to how you play that facing in the wall out there. It's a tough place. I mean, Max Kepler has really left big shoes to fill there. Across the infield, it's even that's difficult. I mean, probably Willie at third, Correa at short, obviously. Yeah, Lee and France. And then again, it's like, well, who DH to start the game? You're not bringing that dude. You're not tearing off the DH tag, the red shirt, so to speak, to put that DH in there defensively, because they were DHing in the first place. But there's layers to it. And honestly, I think the way Rocco and everybody in the Twins situation in the system operates makes it even more difficult to predict, because like if you keep Julien and Gasper, you are 2 guys infield only. If you keep Martin, he's outfield positive, infield maybe. Gasper is infield catcher maybe. I mean, you really can't put yourself in the minds of Rocco and Falvey and say, yes, they are for sure going to do this. So I think their plan, or the way they've done things, makes our job as roster predictors that much tougher. So come on, guys, help us out here.
Yeah, really. It's just one of those things that maybe as the season plays out, it'll become more obvious, and it'll be like, oh yeah, I see now. But I think if you want to spend some time thinking about this at home, think about like what you want as a defensive alignment, ideally in the ninth inning. I think that's one goal that they're going to have.
Well,
but
and
of
I
course,
don't think Gasper, Martin, or Julien are really part of any of those calculations. Now, Martin has become a decent outfielder, but he's not better than any of the three that should be out there on a nightly basis.
right.
Now, if Buxton is down, Martin, Bader,
yes,
Wallner is probably the next best iteration. Willie's decent enough out there in left, but I think that I like Martin more than him and probably more than Larnach.
All right. Well, as we stew more about this, we're going to take a break, our last one. And then when we come back, you know what we're going to do? We're going to talk about the Twins more.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
That was fancy. I'm really impressed with our production values here. That's the first Locked On commercial of that kind that I've ever seen. I like that.
I've filled out my brackets. I have Auburn on the men's side and UConn. It's a bit of a homer pick because UConn's best player is from Minnesota. So
they have a tough regional. They're going to have to get through USC at the end.
Yep.
And Oklahoma as a third seed to get through that. But, I've seen Paige Beckers and the other women come through in situations where, are they up to this? Are they
never count out Gino, right? Never count out Gino.
No, do not count out the mad scientist Gino Moriyama. So my daughter loves Paige Beckers, so it's probably her favorite player, at least in college.
Nice.
So we're all on the same page there.
Very nice.
Anyway, let's turn the page back to the Twins and what we have left to talk about. A couple things. Matt Wallner is homer crazy. He had another one today at 6 in the Grapefruit League. I think he's tied for the league lead, although maybe someone has since passed him. Who knows? But he wasn't getting results early on, but he's been hitting the ball hard. He's adjusting to the leadoff hitter role. It looks like I see games where he draws walks and stuff, and that's what you want out of a leadoff hitter sometimes. So he hasn't lost his ability to get on base other than swinging the bat, which is probably the biggest test of the mental test of being a leadoff hitter, being able to, and of course, as people point out, you're usually only the leadoff hitter once in a game anyway. So it's kind of a big at bat, your first one, but still it's not the end of the world if he doesn't get on base in the first inning, but we want him to keep that mindset of swinging at strikes and letting the bad ones go by. And Wallner looks like, I'm knocking on wood here, he's set to have his first full season, and I don't know for a fact that we're going to see him against all left-handed pitchers. That's actually an interesting question, but Bader could go out there, I suppose. But then
I think he might hit like 7th against lefties, and Bader left.
Yeah, I think so. We what we haven't seen yet is Rocco doing the lineup thing that he does. Like the regular season. He had Wallner face the lefties early, like Chris Sale. In fact, I'm kind of proud for identifying that pretty quickly. Well, I mean, you're already like on the Twins staff for the stats. Maybe you're going to be on them for the. I didn't know about that yet, though. That was a very recent development. This is a way of it kind of coming up and manifesting. Let me ask you this, Brandon. Would you like to buy the Twins? Would I like to? Yeah. No. That's my short answer. My long answer is no. No, I don't want the stress. I think I'd love to like do the Billy Haywood kid owns the Minnesota Twins thing. Well, I'd hate to kill off your grandparent though to make that happen. Well, I think I'm like mentally still 11 years old, and so that's why it would feel like that to me. But
No, I don't think that was really good. No, I don't think I want to own the Twins, but I hope somebody decides that they want to soon. Yeah, with Wallner batting leadoff, I mean, he doesn't really fit either of the cookie cutter leadoff batters we've seen in like the last two eras. The speedy, maybe decent contact guy, your Willie Wilsons and that, or even the OBP. Jonathan India was kind of the name I evoked, and that was more along the lines of like, yeah, the Twins have guys who walk like that, but like Carlos Correa's value isn't largely derived from walks. Neither is Wallner. Neither is anybody else in the lineup. There's guys who will take their walks, but like Jonathan India to me is the kind of hitter that was built to bat leadoff, and Wallner doesn't really fit into either of those prototypes, but he does fit a lot of the things of like sees pitches. I think he's also with seeing pitches, he can relay to teammates what he sees and be a good, kind of a mouthpiece that way. That's where I would have thought maybe even Carlos Correa could be a good fit. And maybe Correa leads off against lefties. Honestly, who knows? But I think Wallner, they don't have a conventional leadoff hitter. I thought maybe trading for Lamont Wade Jr. would have made some sense. In that case, he would lead off against righties, not lefties. So it's a lot of words to say. I'm eager to see how it goes. I don't want to hear grumbling when he's striking out or hitting solo home runs. And at the same time, too, like I'm smart enough to know what I don't know. And what I don't know is who else would be a better option, because I don't think there is one.
I think that's well said. And I think it's maybe it does seem a little counterintuitive to have Wallner at the leadoff spot against right-handed pitching. And it's a little out of the box, but it's not bad. And I don't think you can, it's unconventional, but I don't think you can really go wrong with that. So having one of your better hitters,
high OBP too, takes walks, gets hit by pitches a lot. So that's helpful.
Him and Ty France are going to get along great.
Willi Castro too.
Right. Oh, that's true.
Somebody wrote
more items. Joe Ryan throwing like 1 mile an hour slower than typical today. And he said that it was because the facilities at Bradenton, they were on the road playing the Pirates, and it was a long drive, an hour and a half or something.
I think it's like 70 miles.
Yeah. Okay. An hour and 15, whatever. And he joked that I'm going to take off, a mile for every hour that I drove. You all right with this? It's not that he says there's nothing wrong. There's no reason to be suspicious about him throwing slightly slower because they don't, you can't get in the good hot tub after the game or something.
Sounds like I laugh in the face of danger. Ha ha ha. Like from Lion King. Oh. Recently watched that with kids. I don't know. I mean, Joe Ryan hasn't really given reason to distrust him in general. So I think I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt here. And I mean, yeah, I guess it's an hour-long road trip, but couldn't you have also said, hey, let me have the next one at Hammond,
Well,
I think
remember, they got to keep on schedule here because we only got 8 games before the season.
Yeah, so. I suppose. So, yeah, I guess there's layers to it, but I'm not worried about it too much. She's not traveling an hour to any game during the regular season. And so I'm not going to overthink it, just because also too, there's really no benefit to that. You get yourself all wound up and freaked out about things that don't matter or may not matter. And who knows, if something happens, hey, then it's Zebby time.
He got 4 innings in. I think he gave up a couple of home runs, but the wind was blowing out today, I guess.
Kind of the Joe Ryan experience. When he's not going well, he'll give up homers.
Right. Only walked 1. Yeah, he did give up 2 homers. He struck out 4, so it's okay. I mean, the Pirates threw Paul Skeens, and he even gave up 5 hits in a run, if you could imagine, and 3 walks. So he was kind of off a little bit, and I don't think.
Yeah, Mike Ford had a nice double off him to drive in a run.
Kind of a death rattle for Mike Ford's attempt to make the team. So
it's only his second hit of the spring. It's not looking good.
And the last thing, Justin Topa pitched for the first time since May 5th. May 5th. Well, it seems like it. Since March 5th. And Rocco's still on I don't think he's going to make the opening day roster, but he still likes the idea of having a healthy Topa in the lineup. He says he does different things with his stuff than most of the guys that are out there. And he means the whole league, Rocco said. I think this is from Betsy in the Pioneer Press. I think he'd be a really nice compliment to our bullpen. That's compliment with an E. If we get him to where he needs to be. And I think he's on his way there now. So Rocco's really, he's hanging in there with Justin Topa, even if he's going to have to hang out at St. Paul for a bit.
Yeah, it does sound slightly like he's hedging just a little bit. Like, all right, he's not quite where he needs to be. We have enough guys to cover for now, but I think he's the contingency plan for if, Iverson Castellano has just some meltdown disaster outing. A few years ago, I don't know if you remember J.R. Graham, but he was a big prospect for the Braves and then got hurt and then was Rule 5'd. And he had a wayward pitch that broke a finger for Alex Rios. And the Royals were ticked about it. Like, what's this kid doing on the mound if he's not big league ready? If that were to happen with Castellano, I think that's where Topa comes into play.
All right. Well, we'll see how it plays out. As Rocco said, there are 8 games left. I think Castellano still is going north, but it
says so on Roster Resource, and they're usually pretty good about this stuff.
He's got to trend positive the rest of the way. Speaking of positive trends, we want to thank you for making Locked On Twins your first listen today. For your second listen, check out Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast with host Dominic Martino and Matthew Ane. MLB Fantasy Draft season is here, and we know it too. Be the most informed fan and set up yourself for a league win. Find Locked On Twins on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. So that's going to do it for this episode of Locked On Twins. I'm Dave Brown. He is Brandon Warren. We're going to wish you a very pleasant good evening and say we will Alexei Casilla tomorrow night.